And good afternoon, alienated parents, alienated grandparents, alienated children, professionals out there worldwide, judges, doctors, lawyers, therapists, anyone who's somebody. I hope you're going to tune in today to Let's Talk Real Talk on parental alienation and family domestic violence with Andy Martins and myself. Andy's going to be asking our guests some questions while I share this program to all the platforms out there and to many groups because this is a very serious issue. Today we have our special guest speaker as well, Crystal Bay from Missouri. Crystal is a public speaker helping rise you from surviving to thriving. She is an author, the Crystal Phoenix series. She's now going to be doing her second part, second book. So Crystal Bay, known as Crystal Phoenix, is a passionate advocate on a mission to raise awareness about domestic abuse with steadfast commitment to challenging the prevalent narrative that blames the victims. She dedicates herself to empowering survivors. Through her advocacy, the Crystal Phoenix aims to guide survivors to rising from the ashes, fostering resilience and helping them rediscover trust and love as they embark on the journey to thriving in life, rising from the ashes as she herself did as a fellow survivor and Phoenix. Uh, this is so amazing to have you, Crystal. Thank you for coming on. Andy, if you have something to say to Crystal before Crystal starts to share her story with us. She's an alienated mom and hasn't seen her children since January 9, 2023. Her four children. She was in a relationship she had children with the children's father, was not married, but whatever. She will tell her story and let you all know that it just doesn't happen in marriages. It happens to all sorts of walks of life, and we need to get the word out to help others. So, both of you, welcome, Crystal and Andy. And Andy, I'm going to let you talk first.
All right. Thanks, Mary. Always a thrill to be on your show here as we cover this topic as much as possible on the Andy Martin Show and your show, Let's Talk. And our guests are always great to have. And we always have a variety of different types of guests. But one thing I wanted to mention before I get to ask Crystal a question is that Mary and I are in charge of the shows here. Nobody will come in as a guest and try to control the picture. If you have an issue, then you meet with Mary and I, and we will deal with it off camera. So I don't want to see these controlling and this and that, and Mary talks too much. No, Mary and I run this show, and that's where it begins and ends. So again, Mary, I'm sorry to mention that, but this keeps coming up. You and I are in charge, and if necessary, people will be kicked off this broadcast. We've never done that, but there's always a first. Anyway, Crystal, welcome. Missouri is the show me state, and you have shown that you're a leader in this parental alienation and this area. Start off with a little bit about your story and how it began, ended up the way it has.
Absolutely. But really quick, I'd actually like to make a comment to what you were just saying.
Right.
On YouTube, we call people like that trolls, and
Well, I wanted to be
and
nice, but you're right. They are.
no. And the thing is people being disrespectful on your platform. You're exactly that. I have moderators for my channel for that reason. For when we go live, they make sure that the people that are on my lives are respectful.
Well,
Um,
let's
you
put it
know,
this way. People want to try that. They won't. I'll stop them right in their tracks. People have not seen how I am when I get mad, and it just won't happen. I will have Mary's back every step of the way. And they seem to want to control women, and they don't like women expressing themselves and vice versa. Well, Mary and I are in charge of these shows, no one else. So
yeah.
I needed to deal with that, and I will. Don't try and test the process because we will shut it down. Anyway, Crystal, welcome. You've shown people just like the logo of the expression for your state, and Missouri is a great state. And how did your story begin? It's one of those things we've heard it time and time over 3 years now.
Well, I'm actually born and raised in South Florida. My ex, my abuser, he and I've known each other since we were kids, and we moved up to Iowa actually, and uh, in 2020, I finally had the courage to leave. Well, I my girls made me wake up to leave. Basically, my daughter looked at me, she was 7 at the time, and said, "Mommy, it's okay if daddy hurts you as long as he comes home." I had just put him back in jail, and we were actually walking over to my best friend, who is now my fiance, Matt's house, because I just didn't want to be in the apartment. And so that was the final straw for me. Well, um, we long story short, my mental health was shot with having gone through 9 years of every form of domestic abuse you can imagine. Um, all the whole gambit, financial, emotional, sexual, all of it. And I won't lie, there were times where I brought it on myself because I would see him getting mad at the girls and I didn't want to know if he could be that monster to them. So I would pull his focus to me instead, and get the girls to go to their room. So thankfully my 2 oldest children were not living with us. My son was a surrogacy for my sister, and my eldest daughter Kaylee lives in Florida with her dad, thankfully, with her stepmom's amazing. She's a nurse. She's living a blessed life, and I'm so grateful that she did not have to go through what me and her sisters did. So that's a blessing. But so I reached out to Child Protective Services because I had nobody. One of the things when it comes to abuse is you alienate everybody. Um, a lot of times they isolate you. I mean, I was in a state I didn't know anybody really. I had my family is stretched from California, Pennsylvania, and Florida. I had nobody, you know. So I wound up losing custody overall because the girls' foster parents wanted to adopt, right family, right name, and when it comes to like small town, rural, Midwest area, if you're an outsider, forget it. And if you're a survivor, it's all your fault and you don't deserve your kids anyway. So, um, in turn, what I have become the Crystal Phoenix, because I want to put a stop to victim shaming. I want to help others overcome and rise above it to know that they have hope, they can get out, they're not stuck, and hopefully change the system so that what happened to me doesn't happen to other families. And so that when my girls do come home to mommy, because I know they will, um, they will see a strong woman who stood up for them to make the world a better place, who stood up instead of broke. So that's the Cliff Notes version of my story.
Right,
Wow.
Mary, we've seen this from time and time again. Again, before I give it to you, our relationship with doing this show has been over 3.5 years. It's a choice how you react, the tone and everything. And Mary and I talk every day. It's like a light switch, Mary. These people know what they're doing. They make a choice. Abusive, controlling, all of that.
And then they blame
Absolutely.
me.
I mean, Crystal just had some trigger moments here for myself listening to her. And it's not really a choice. We're conditioned. It's more conditioned to walk on eggshells because we know exactly when that next slap comes or that next punch comes or the belittling. I mean, no matter how beautiful we looked for them, didn't matter. They still found flaws in us. We put on sweatpants and it's like, oh, look at you. See, I told you you were this and this and this, but we put on an evening gown. You never get that. Oh, look at you, hot stuff. You know, that's all the what do you call it? The love
Who are
bombing
you?
at the beginning.
Yep. And then who are you dressing up for? Why are
Yeah,
you doing
that's
it?
what happens when you get
Mhm.
later on. Who are you dressing up
Yeah.
for? They don't
Having
realize we're dressing up for them.
or for us
Or
even.
for us, yes,
Yep.
because they belittled us to the point where they called us big butt, fat mouth, whatever, fathead, whatever they wanted to call us. We made ourselves better, right?
Yeah.
So they automatically take it. We made ourselves better for someone else. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? You conditioned me to become this.
Yeah.
So this is how our children are too now that we
Yeah.
noticed after being alienated from them for so many years.
Yeah.
So
We call that grooming, actually.
grooming, yes,
Um,
yes,
that's
grooming.
actually the audio room that I'm hosting every other week for the Expose documentary, which is
Mhm.
about 88 stories surviving and thriving after domestic abuse, which will be premiering soon. Um, where each
Wow.
audio event we're doing is based off of an episode in the documentary, and the next one is actually about grooming. And I'm still trying to figure out who
Oh, we're losing you.
as
Crystal's
a
running on a
guest speaker
lag
right now.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're losing you, Crystal.
Sorry.
Can you
Yep.
repeat what you just said?
What I was saying was it's grooming is what the conditioning that you were talking about. It's grooming.
Mhm.
They're grooming us to behave a certain way,
Right.
um, and those behavioral traits. Like I would always try to shield my kids to get them so that they didn't see it or hear it or anything. And there were times where he was literally grooming them because one night he said, "No, they have to stay here. I want them to see what happens." And excuse my language, but I'm literally quoting. Um, what happens when you act like a stupid bitch in a relationship so that they don't act like this when they grow up. I was in the process of trying to make dinner and he was berating me and everything else like that. So, um, literally not only grooming me to just accept and, try and anticipate his wants and his needs and everything else, but he was also grooming our children to become subservient to their partners in the future
Right.
and to continue that generational trauma. And no, that's not happening. I'm mm-mm.
Sounds like your kids, Mary.
Yeah. My kids are much older now. They were set 15, 17, and 18. So 19 years later, they're adults. They're in their late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, and no relationship except for one. She just got into that one about 3 years ago. But, they're in their late 30s, no children, never been married. They really don't, they can't break away from the alienating father. He pays their rent. He does whatever, is necessary for them to beg. He sets them up with monthly payments. So if the month is late, the kids have to beg, go to see him to beg for the next month or whatever, right? The way they're conditioned, well, groomed, is to be with them forever and to hurt us in order to get the conditional love. It's almost a sick game, like I'm like a brainwashed cult leader game. What's your opinion on that one, Crystal?
Actually, yeah. That is one of the narcissists. It basically, a narcissist, they need to get their fix, and because they don't truly care about anybody but them, you know. um my ex used our children as a weapon against me, like, and I've only gotten him to admit this once, but he actually signed a deal under the table with the Child Protective Services, the prosecution, and the sheriff's department to get off of probation 6 months early and not have to do the battery classes, if as long as he could convince the judge that I could not keep them safe from him.
Mhm.
Um, but he also was very insistent that he was the stay-at-home parent. I was the one that would work, and he groomed them not to listen to me. Like every time he was about to go to jail or something, he would go to my older daughter and say, "Well, you need to help mommy. You need to be the big girl." Basically undermining me as the parent, and in, ingratiating her and trying to make her feel like she had to be the helper, like she needed to help me and take care of the house, and basically eldest son syndrome, but in her. And when we were going to therapy, after I had left him, before my rights had been terminated, we were discussing, living arrangements and what the girls would want. And Maka looked at me and she said, "Mommy, I want to live with you and Lulu, but I think I need to live with Daddy because I can help fix him." And it's like, no, 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 that's not your
Isn't that
job,
why we married them? Or
sweetheart.
yeah, we
Um,
get into relationships to
mhm,
help them get over it. So now the children are feeling it. That's exactly what happens. That's how they become
mhm,
enmeshed with them
yeah,
and
and
become their little wives or their little
mhm, yeah,
manservants.
mhm.
It's sad.
And it's funny, like I have a guilty pleasure, like I watch the Asian dramas and things like that, and a lot of them do hit on the subservience, uh, like I can't pronounce it properly, but like how you have to pay homage to your family, like that raised you and everything else, and help, take care of them. So a lot, like you see a lot of them living with the in-laws and things like that, and being very subservient. And what you're talking about right there with the whole paying the bills and making sure, like giving them the breadcrumbs to keep them there, to keep them, worshiping his feet, basically. "Oh, dad's the good one, mom won't do anything for me." They get into the kids' brains and twist it to where you don't understand to where,
Hmm.
and it will take a lot of therapy and work to be able to brainwash, to take away all that brainwashing, because that's literally what it is brainwashing. um
Exactly.
I mean, I've done a lot of work with like EMDR therapy personally because of my own childhood traumas and going forward, because your childhood traumas do affect how you interact in adult relationships, romantically, um, professionally, all of it. That's actually what Rise 2 is about, is the reasons why I stayed as long as I did, and how they tied back to my childhood traumas of my fear of abandonment, the feeling of never being enough, things like that. And he would put it in my head that nobody would want me after, um, because I was damaged goods and things like that. And
That's right.
obviously not. I have an amazing fiance who literally saved my life a few times, who treats me amazing, has been there every step of the way with my healing, supported me, um, everything. And obviously I'm not broken, damaged goods. I
No, you're
am worth
not.
it. And, and that's my message. It's like, you're not damaged goods. You do deserve better, and your children deserve better. And if they are alienated and, fed a line of bull crap. I'm trying to watch my language at times when I get very like animated about a subject that I'm passionate about. My sailor mouth comes out a little bit.
But that's
But
okay, because that's what the alienators or the domestic partner does, to
mhm,
put you down as low as you can go, to believe that you are not worthy, that you are worse than the scum of the earth. And then a lot
mhm,
of these people commit suicides because they've gotten so low,
yeah,
degraded, mortified
mhm,
themselves
yeah. I
because
was
they
there.
think they're not worth it. And this is
Mhm,
what these judges need to see, because how many
mhm,
parents out there now are committing suicides, murder suicides, children going to school, doing school shootings and all this kind of
mhm,
stuff because they've been put down, humiliated,
mhm,
conditioned to hate
yeah,
themselves, to hate the
mhm,
world.
yeah. Um,
Next generation of war.
mhm, mhm, yeah. Christmas of 19, actually, I was right there. The only thing I wanted the pain to stop. The only thing that stopped me was I heard my girls playing, and all I could think was, I can't leave them alone with this monster.
Mm,
That was literally, I he had broken all of my dishes. He had broken my family antique um nativity set that my papa had bought when I was born. And I'm sitting in the kitchen floor picking up the dishes, and there was one piece that was shaped perfectly like a knife, and I started to go down my wrist, and I heard the girls playing, and that's what stopped me. Now, fast forward 4 years, I am nowhere near that space. I want to live. I want to help other families overcome, you know, break down those barriers. I even got a art therapy certification to be able to help decipher like the different drawings that children
good for
do
you.
and
Good for
everything.
you.
You know, I'm a firm supporter of play therapy when it comes to children because it helps them be able to talk things out without feeling pressured. You get the truth out of them, really, of how they feel, and they feel more comfortable. I'm a big supporter of play therapy. Um, you know, and expressing yourself through writing, through art, anything, because it can be very hard to talk. I'm a big person about, if you can't say it to their face, write them a letter, break the ice somehow. If you're
Mhm.
alienated from your children, write a journal for them. Tell them how you're feeling, what's going on in your life, what you're thinking about them, what your hopes are for them, so that, when they do come to you, whether it's in anger, why did you abandon me? Like, how a lot of kids are brainwashed thinking that, um, or come to you out of, love and curiosity, what was happening. You have that to break the ice. you know you have that journal, that's something tangible that they can see, they can feel, you know even if it's just a line a month, it doesn't matter, because it shows them that, no, you were not doing what they were trained and brainwashed into thinking. You
Right.
have been thinking of them this whole time. You have been missing them, loving them, but you were also standing up and, not breaking and just shattering.
Right.
I don't want my girls to come home to a broken person, because then they're not going to want to stay. I
Well,
want,
then they'll be scared of you for
yeah,
sure.
or they'll
So
feel pity.
they're being set up to think that that's what's going to happen if they come to see you. You what? Going to murder them in the middle of the night or something? Like that's how
or
bad it
just
is.
abandon them again. Luckily, my girls are not with my abuser either. He is in Nevada, um, doing whatever. I don't care, as long as he's leaving me and my family and my children alone. He can do whatever he wants all the way over there.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
so,
Exactly. I know. And the millions are going through this, millions worldwide. This is just not happening in Missouri or Florida or, Texas, California. It's happening in Canada. We are, going through it through right across Ontario over to out west, down east. I mean, it's just gone so bad, eh, Andy? Like, even Andy's had the same kind of thing to deal with his wife through family, because it's not just our children that are alienated, siblings are alienated from each other too. So they don't talk
That's right.
to lose their stories.
Exactly. And sibling alienation and taking, their sister's kids out of the picture. And it's crazy what kind of evil minds are there. But I wanted to say that just because, like, I've been with the same woman for 40 years and there's now some issues, but health issues and stuff. But just because you've had long relationships doesn't mean you're free of problems in problems around that come up and issues and this and that. So, like
Exactly.
Lynn Anderson sang a song a long time ago, Rose Garden. Life isn't a rose garden all the time. So I've been able to do 40 years, but actually 40 years today. I met my wife 40 years ago today. So,
Wow.
it's been a challenge, but I chose to work through and pull through, keep going, like in a snowstorm, and I made it. And I've done that. And the relationship with doing these shows with Mary is just as important. So, again, these people make choices to how they behave. I don't want somebody out there thinking that, oh, this is the normal. No, this is not the normal. Whatever excuse, whatever reason, you make the choice to act the way you do, and it's not working. And that's the sad part. People behave like that for 30 or 40 years and then suddenly decide, oh my God, they're in their 60s and 70s and it hasn't worked. My life is shambles. Well, because you didn't catch on to the fact that what you were doing, abusing and all of that with women or whatnot, some women do it too. You
Oh,
didn't
for
catch
sure.
on to you were doing the wrong thing and it's too late you can't go back on history.
No, that's it. You can't take back your words, actions. All you can do is move forward, better yourself, and apologize and never do it again, like they always say over and over. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And yet, how many times? 27, 30, 40, 50 years later, they're still doing it in the relationship.
Narcissists that say, "Oh, I didn't do anything wrong." It's like somebody that has bipolar. Oh, what are you talking about? I don't have a problem. Well, if
The
you don't
gaslighting.
admit the mistakes, you're never going to resolve them.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That is a typical narcissist. That is like one of their biggest tools in their tool belt is the gaslighting, which is
Mhm.
flipping your feelings on you. They try to make you feel like you're nuts. They make it to where you are questioning, like, it's your fault I cheated on you. Look at what you made me do. No, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
did not make you break a remote control on my face. Sorry, didn't happen. I didn't make you cheat on me while I was at work with one of my best friends. No, I did not make you do that. You can't even say that drugs made you do that, because at the end of the day, all drugs do is break down your inhibitions. So, no, you are responsible for your own actions, just like I am responsible for my actions. Um, I can't I didn't make him hurt me. I didn't make him break me down mentally. I didn't allow it either, though. And that's the one thing that a lot of people, that with the victim shaming, it's like, well, why did you allow it to happen? Why didn't you leave? Um, there's a lot of reasons. And the grooming is a big one, that you were talking about, being groomed to, you do think that you're at fault. Well, if I had just cooked dinner fast enough, or if I had just done this, a little better, I shouldn't make him so angry. Or, you walk on eggshells and you become a shell of the person that you are. And that's the whole point of what they're doing to you, especially with the gaslighting, where they're like, they get mad at you for being hurt, for being cheated on, or, and insert abuse here, and it's like, excuse me, I'm allowed to feel what I feel, your words hurt me. I feel emotional abuse is 1,000 times worse than physical.
Yes.
Physical abuse heals, scars fade, but the mental and emotional scars are so deep that they don't, a lot of times they never fully heal. My dear friend April, who is actually in here, she's a mentor of mine as well. She has, and she doesn't get on me about it, but I've been trying to work on using the word activating instead of triggering, because the word triggering is exactly that. It can trigger people to have panic attacks and anxiety attacks. But narcissists and abusers, because they don't have to be the same person. Not all abusers are narcissists, and not all narcissists are abusers. They and I lost my train of thought. Okay. I still get activated about certain topics, about certain things. I have learned a lot of different methods on how to cope and how to work through. I've kind of taken lessons from EMDR, Reiki, a lot of different things, and kind of made a very nice little toolbox of different coping mechanisms and ways to get to the root of why you're being activated, why your nervous system is getting activated because of that smell. Maybe somebody walks by you that wore the same cologne as your abuser, and you all of a sudden start having a panic attack and you don't understand why. And so I'm, working through that, but it's true. There's so many different things, and they never take responsibility for it. You're always the one to blame. Or my childhood, they blame everybody but themselves. So unless they're ready to say, I have a problem, it'll never change. You'll never grow. And it will, the balance, the acceptance, and you'll never get the why did you do this to me? You'll never get those answers.
No.
So you have to find the answers and the closure within yourself.
That's right.
And realization that I am enough, I do deserve better. And first step is finding a way to love yourself and trust yourself again. You have to be able to love yourself and be able to trust your own instincts if you're going to try and help your children to do the same, whether you've been alienated from them for a few months or 20 years. You have to work on yourself and be in a place where you can be accepting and gracious and, patient while helping them overcome the trauma of the alienation and everything that they went through in your absence and before. So,
Right.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. This is to the kids when you drip love to them after being, verbally abused by them now, and you still continue to drip love, but they're still adamant on hurting you. What can a parent do about that? Because that is, even April here says that it takes courage to look in the mirror and take responsibility. It's easier to blame others. So why are these children, knowing that they did wrong, still continue to blame the other parent, even though that parent has reached out over and over and over? What's happening to these kids?
Thank you for that question. Really. Thank you. That is something that has been going on with the newer generations, I've noticed. There's no accountability.
None.
Oh, there's none. There's okay, I'm a firm believer in discipline, and I won't deny it. Yes, I have spanked my kid. I do. I do love appreciate the newer forms of communication and the open communication that we're trying to instill with parenting and everything else like that now. But there needs to be a balance. Okay, there needs to be boundaries set no matter what. And at a very early age, children need to be taught that the parents are a united front. Co-parenting is key. Now, if there's no way to co-parent and one parent does do the whole, well, your mom's such a bee and look at what she makes me do and she doesn't care about you, insert here, and fills their head with all this negative stuff. It takes a lot of time and patience. And I won't deny therapy. You do therapy is a big part of it. Whether EMDR is intense, but a very good therapy, especially for working through childhood traumas
Hmm.
and everything. I'm a firm believer of that as well. Like I said, I've got tools from many different things that I have put together that work for me, and I do like to share them. So because I'm all about helping people rise from the ashes, you
Right.
know, I want families to be together. You know, I even have the belief that abusers can change, but they have to want to.
Hmm.
They have to acknowledge that there's something that they were wrong. I actually have a client that I'm working with who recognized the fact that he was, and these are his words, he was a piece of shit to his ex-wife. And a lot of it was learned because his mother was very narcissistic and brainwashed him about his father even, and things like that. So he's learned in as an adult now that wait a minute, I this is not how I want to be. And he's making the steps to change because he wants to change for him, not because he's court ordered or anything else. I mean, I do believe that people can change, and I try to believe in the inherent good in everybody. But there comes a time where you also have to say enough is enough, and you know, you're too toxic. I will pray for you and hoped for the best from afar, but I can't do it anymore. And it really sucks when you have to do that with even your own children. But if they don't want to go to therapy and work through the traumas, because everybody has their own truth of how they see it. Yes, some of it can be very tainted, you know, by outside influences, but at the end of the day, what they feel is what they feel, and all you can do is show them love and try, and then just be there when and ready when they come to you, but set those boundaries. You
Hmm.
know, and just tell them, I appreciate what happened. I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you. I wasn't able to be. I love you, but please do not disrespect me in this way. You have to set boundaries, period. And it doesn't matter if your kid is 2 or 52. You have
Hmm.
to set clear boundaries or they will continue to disrespect you and
That.
walk all over you and only come to you when they need something. And then um, a lot of boys will emulate what they saw in their father,
Yes.
and that's another generational thing that I'm trying to break. The whole when you're on the playground and a boy pulls your hair, You go home crying, and your parents are like, "Oh, honey, don't worry about it. That's just the way he shows you that he likes you." No, that's the wrong mindset. That's teaching our children that it's okay, that bullying is okay, because it's how you show affection. And that is why, with my generation, your generation, there are so many abused women and men, because it goes both ways, because we were raised to accept bullying because it's how you show love. And it's not good, because you like a little girl on the playground, go pick her a flower, share your snack, treat them with kindness.
Exactly.
Don't pull her hair. I mean, now granted, yes, my friends and I goofing off, walking down the street or something, even at 40, I'll jokingly pull on one of my friends' ponytails, just playing around. But there's a difference between, bullying and just playing around with your friends when you're old enough to understand that it's just teasing and picking, and the boundaries and where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how I fell into it. I met him in high school. I mean, the things that they do, they block you from your friends so that you don't have any friends to run to once they've been abusing you. I married a bully, and anybody that came talking to me ended up bloody, hurt, bruised, and and then I had to isolate myself from everybody and run. But it you can't run from them when they're adamant about having you. They will hunt you down for the rest of your life. I mean, 47 years I've been going through this with the same person. Don't you think there's time for them to stop and say, you know what, kids, you haven't seen your mom in 19 years. Go see her. That's all it's going to take. An alienated child needs to hear that from the abusive parent. That's how I found my father 40 years later. I was told that my father was on his deathbed. Go see him. You may never see him again. I kept him alive for 5 years, and all he wanted was his grandchildren. And the ex's lawyer you know, wouldn't let them. He wouldn't pass the message to them. He wouldn't give them all this information about the family. Grandma's still alive. She's 92 this summer. She has a birthday shared with my son, just a week apart. She hasn't seen him in 19 years. He's out there helping the world in the Navy, but he turned his back on his mom, his grandparents, his cousins, his uncles, like everybody. And it's not because he turned it. It was the father that turned him to turn. And this is how we need to see our kids. They're flipped. They flipped the script on our kids. They pulled the rug out from underneath them. And the kids cannot turn back now because they've got so abusive that they're ashamed. They feel guilt. And the easier way for them to forget about it is to ignore. So once these court systems starts taking these kids from a loving mom and a loving dad and loving grandparents, they got to think twice on what happens to them down the road. So these judges and lawyers should be held accountable. This immunity stuff is garbage because they know what they're doing. No different than a narcissist. I mean, the judge knows this is what's going to happen to the child 10 years from now. He's going to be bad mouthing the other parent, killing the other next future spouse, their children, whoever. It's a setup. Our kids were set up. Not just our kids, we all were that went through the system. We need to stay out of family court, I believe, because that's the most dangerous place to be. And criminal court is tied in with family court. It doesn't matter if you've been cleared innocent in criminal court, you're still going to get condemned in family court. How is that? So there's a lot of problems happening through the court system, through these lawyers who don't care about anything but money in their pockets. Well, you know what, Matt? When they fill their pockets with money and gold, they're going to weigh down and go to hell because they can't take their money with them. Because, heaven ain't gonna be happy to, you know, accept somebody that's abused millions of people out there. So this is how I see it. I mean, there's black, there's white, and
or or enabling. You know, enabling
enable.
is just as bad, honestly,
Yes,
as the abuser. Thankfully, my girls are not with their father, like I said, but the situation is, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details, but needless to say, it's not the best situation either. But at least they're safe from him.
right. Away from
But
the abuser. That's what we needed to
yeah,
do.
but there's still it. Yeah. We can talk privately about my whole, like, the rest of my situation, but at the end of the day, you know, this is why I do what I do. The system failed me completely. I have a active no contact order, and when we were living in Iowa, Matt and I went with 4 pages of text messages that were threats against my life, against Matt, um, all kinds of stuff, that had only been from 24 hours. Okay. And they even had me call him, and they heard him threaten me over the phone, say where he was going to be, that he expected me to be there, and did nothing. They put him in a halfway house less than a mile and a half from the culinary school I was attending. Um, and then Matt mysteriously lost his job all at the same time as my termination hearings.
Mm.
Um, the girl's attorney lied directly about me on the stage. And I brought all of it up to my attorney, that they needed to object to certain things, and you know, and nothing. In fact, the morning after I had made the phone call to South Florida and the hospital that my sister was in on life support to take her off of life support, I got the phone call that the judge had made her decision and that my rights were terminated, that I would be seeing my children for the last time the following week. But I could appeal. So, of course, I filled out the paperwork to start the appeal. My appeal was not handled properly. She did not even call me to let me know that I lost my appeal. She sent it in a text message and email on Easter after the time period where I could appeal that decision was over. Basically, I was railroaded, all because the foster family wanted to adopt my babies.
You know that what you went through since 4 years now? 4 years has it been?
Well, yeah, it all started 4 years ago,
4 years ago. It
Mhm.
started for me the exact same way 19 years ago. Now, how could that be? How can these stories be a repeat over and over and over? And it's getting nowhere. We've got thousands of professionals out there that could prove parent alienation. Then you got these other people that are calling it junk science, but yet the junk science people are the one that are getting recognized and being what's the word, believed over the ones that are telling the truth. I mean, everybody's getting covered, blocked.
Because unfortunately, um, this is, and it's worldwide, but especially
Right.
in the US, um, money talks.
Money. It's all about
Money,
money.
it's all about money. It's all about who you know, um, the connections that you have.
Right. So for
We're
20
working
years
on,
now,
yeah,
$55 billion a year business for them
yeah,
20 years later. So, you know, we could see it. How
I,
can we have these people charged for doing it? They're
Mhm.
taking our lives. They're taking our kids' lives.
Yeah. In the comments from LinkedIn, Jan Gladys did make a comment that I would like to just speak on for a brief moment, if that's okay.
Okay.
She said, "How do we change laws to stop abuse?" Um, Basically, write letter writing campaigns, make petitions to the legislations, but it's not going to really matter nationally. You have to go to your individual states because the states are still going to do what they want.
Hmm.
But I do want to give you a little bit of hope, Jan. The Congress did just pass a law last week that stops people that are convicted of domestic abuse from purchasing and owning firearms. There is a full out ban now. That was just passed within the last week. Now, I'm not foolish enough to think that that's going to matter because the evil will always find a way, and
Hmm.
most of the time they don't want a registered gun. They're gonna find it on the black market. They're gonna find it on the streets if they want it, unfortunately. um but and Hi, Izzy, so glad you showed up. But at the end of the day, it's all we can do is just keep standing up and talking and having these hard conversations that we're having right now. 10 years ago, these conversations were not had. It, everybody looked away. That's where the victim shaming came. Nobody talked about it. You don't air
Right.
your dirty laundry. And everybody was ashamed of the fact that they were abused. They were scared to go to their families and
Yes.
they were scared to ask for help because their abuser most of the time is like, no, nobody's going to believe you. And a lot of times it's true when it comes down to that, because a lot of times the abuser makes it out like we're the ones that's crazy,
Hmm.
and um and, and they're the perfect ones. Mhm.
And
And
they also
mhm,
threaten, if it's a
yeah.
child, they threaten the
Mhm.
child that they will kill their
Oh,
family,
oh
kill
yes.
them. I mean, holy moly!
Mhm.
It's the lengths these
Absolutely.
people go to
Mhm.
harm.
Yeah, and to keep you under their thumb, like,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
it's
thank you,
terrible.
Aja. Hey, Aja,
Um,
do me a favor and do what you do with the mod, and throw up any channels for everybody to like and subscribe to each other, please. Love you. Thank you so much, honey. One of my mods.
Nice, nice, Crystal. You're well loved out there, and you're doing such a great job. We're almost near the full hour here. We've got about 5 minutes left. I just want to get your last, I mean, not your last words, because we could have you back on the podcast in the future. I mean, because what you can bring out here for viewers and help us all heal. I mean, you've took a burden off my shoulder here a minute ago, and it's like, oh, if it isn't me, you know, that's the kind of moments we need. It's not me. It's not me. I didn't do anything. And, we're struggling to prove ourselves in these courtrooms, and we don't need to prove ourselves because they know we didn't do it. So, what's your last words you can express to these parents and alienated children and grandparents going through this today?
Honestly, my thing is you are not alone. Don't don't think that you are. The people that you alienated, that you had to push away because they made you, reach out to. I can 9 times out of 10, they are waiting for you to call them and say, I'm out, I'm done, and I need help. And they will be there for you. There's also a lot of different organizations that are more than happy to support. Um, you can even check, reach out to me personally. I'm more than happy to. I am a coach when it comes to overcoming domestic abuse and learning to trust yourself again. I also am an advocate. I can help you with your mindset when it comes to court and knowing what channels that you should use, because I've found out the hard way what ways work and what you need to do because of, trial and error, and in the ways that I did fail on myself, and just know you are not alone. You are enough, and it's not your fault. You did not ask to be abused. You didn't do anything to deserve it. Okay. So what if dinner was 5 minutes late? You didn't, you don't deserve to be treated like that. You deserve to be, at least bare minimum, treated with respect. If they can't treat you with kindness and love, you at least deserve to be respected. So reach out if you need help, even, emotionally, need support, want to figure out an exit strategy. If you're in that situation, just please reach out to somebody. You are not alone, and there are people who believe you and will stand firm and give you that voice, give you your voice back. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Crystal Bay, public speaker, helping you rise from surviving to thriving. Thank you so much for coming out here on to Let's Talk, Real Talk on parental alienation and family domestic violence.
Oh, I
We
love your
are so
puppy.
grateful. This is my emotional support. Molly has gotten me through some of the worst times since the trial, and without her, I wouldn't be able to speak as well as I do. I still break down. So I just want parents to know, even after 19 years, it still hurts. It still hurts because it's my future grandchildren now that I'm here for, and everybody else's grandchildren. I mean, there's millions of grandparents out there that have been stripped in Malta, Italy. They took all the grandparents' rights away. So I'm here to break that, because I don't have grandchildren yet, but I could still fight for them. So they're quite happy that I could to uh, to help promote Italy the same way as to what I do here in Canada and help the US, I help the UK. My children were born in the UK, so why wouldn't I want to help people in UK? We're all going through it. And my children were stripped of their UK citizenship once they came to Canada. And I don't believe that was right, because they took away their identity at 27. 27, they became so verbally abusive towards me. They broke the bond of them being a German citizen. This is so twisted on how they're making our kids into robots. No different than these bots that they're putting on Facebook and social media. This is what our kids are going to end up being as well. No empathy, no love, no care, no heart. And we want them to love the way they were loved when they were children. So, anybody out there that would like to join us on Let's Talk Real Talk, please PM me or Andy Martins, and we could get you onto the show so you could share your story and help the next person. I know Crystal's helped a lot out there today, and we are so grateful for her. So thank you from Parent Alienation, is child abuse blog page, and the Andy Martins, he had to leave, sorry. And Crystal from your book again is Crystal.
Rise of Crystal Phoenix is one of 4 that I already have out. I have 3 anthologies that have already been published. I have 2 others coming out, and Rise 2 is going to be released hopefully soon. I'm still in the process of working on that, but I wanted to put this out for my YouTube family. If you want to connect with Mary and the show, all you have to do is get a hold of me and I will connect you with them. A lot of my YouTube family are not on LinkedIn. So,
Right.
So yes, please reach out. And Jan, I did see your comments. I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn so that I can assist you in any way that I can and support you. Okay, hon? So thank you guys so much. And hi, Greg. Thank you all for coming in this very, quick live. I'm so amazed at all your guys' support, and like and subscribe to everyone. In my chat, I will be dropping Mary's YouTube channel as well for you guys to please like and subscribe, because she has talks like this all the time. And if you found the content, informative and helpful, let's keep spreading the word and raising each other up, so that the next generation does have a better place to be, and we
Right.
don't have to have these talks anymore.
Right.
So
Well, thank you again. I just so everybody out there knows, I have another special program coming on at 3 p.m. this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, and it's with Vernon Beck, Canada Court Watch, understanding how parents can promote their pursuit of justice in the best interest of their children in the context of family separation. There's hope for us out there to go after what we belong to, what belongs to our rights. Vernon has programs that will, explain everything at 3 p.m. today. So please tune in, and thank you again, everybody. Crystal, thank you. Viewers, children out there, never give up. We all love you. Goodbye.